What's good, Joshua Ross? Back at it again with another video. So, apparently, Ricochet has been speaking his truth about his time in WWE and how he feels that WWE ultimately made him lose his love for professional wrestling at one point. And it's been circulating all over X. Some of you guys have even hit me up on X to talk about this, and I've seen a collection of tweets or posts of him, kind of just describing how he felt about WWE or feels about WWE as a whole, and it's obviously caused some discourse because of some of the things that he has said. So we're gonna check this out because it's all over my timeline. That's all anyone's talking about right now is how Ricochet feels about WWE and voicing his opinion on the company as a whole. I believe he did an interview recently talking about it, so I'm not sure if that's how things kind of started off, but nevertheless, this is what's going on right now on X. Ricochet has a few comments that he wanted to kind of address in regards to WWE. I'm not sure which is the right order, but we're just gonna go through these. So it seems like he's responding to a few people, and he's saying the same thing happens to Balor, Shinsuke, Apollo, and many others. WWE kills legacies and love of the sport. It's what they do best. I do feel this way, and many others do as well. That company kills the love, and you end up being a shell of who you were and going through the motions. They don't. They haven't for a while. He's responding to people. Even when I was the IC and US champ, they meant nothing. Then he responded to somebody else. I'd argue El Generico has a better legacy than Sami Zayn. Now that one, I don't know about that one, Ricochet. I'm gonna be honest. Sammy Uso was peak Sammy. I'm not gonna lie to you. WrestleMania 39, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens versus the Usos for the Unified Tag Team Championships. They main evented WrestleMania. A tag team match main event at WrestleMania. And it was one of the greater main events of a WrestleMania. Fantastic match. I don't know, bro. I'm just being honest with you. I don't know. I don't know about that one. That's a little bit of a stretch. I will say that. It's a little bit of a stretch. He responds to this person. They took my love of pro wrestling away. I'll never forget how I felt walking into work every week, and that platform was only to make others look good at my expense. And I told them I'd rather quit and go back to the indies and make whatever I'd make there than to come back next week. He also responded, many discovered me at a time where my talents and legacy were being taken advantage of by a company that didn't really care about me. However, more people have been following me since before WWE, and I appreciate what they know I can bring and what I can do. No longer what I can do, no longer want to watch. Someone else says Bryan Danielson said he was disassociating in the ring during the main event of WrestleMania, and he said happened to me every week. And I believe there's some more stuff that he has said. I can obviously go to his page real quick and see what he has also said. Let's see what else he said on here. But before we get into that, his comments about the Sammy El Generico having a better legacy, I don't know about that. That one I may respectfully have to disagree with on. But him feeling like he was just going to work every week and basically his job was to put others over. That's literally what his time was later in his WWE career. Early in NXT, they were building him up as someone to look out for, someone that you can get invested in. They were building him up for sure in NXT as a major player, at least down there. Then when he got to the main roster, yeah, they had him in some, profile moments, but he was never booked in a sense, to really just be the guy. Yeah, they would give him the IC title and they would give him some cool moments, but he was never booked as someone to be taken seriously. He wasn't. Under Vince control, even under Triple H control, when he decided to leave, he was never really booked to be taken someone, to be taken as serious as he probably wanted to. We know how his WWE career ended. Basically, Braun Breaker packed him up and sent him to AEW. He was there to put people over. That's it. And towards the end, really, majority of the time he was there to put people over. Yeah, they wanted him there for the highlights and the flashy moments, but that was it. Y'all remember that, I think it was a RKO that he sold like $1 million? Like, it looked like he landed on his neck or something like that. Like he was there to sell and make people look like $1 million. Simple as that. Do some high spots. That's about it. That's really all they viewed him as. So I can understand why he would feel that way. That he has every right to feel that way because, I'm sure he wanted to be pushed higher on the card. I'm sure he wanted to be presented as someone that you can somewhat take seriously like they did in NXT. And he has every right to feel that way. But I also understand that there are certain people that get into WWE or get, brought up to WWE that no matter how talented you are, there will always be a ceiling for you because there's other people that they're going to push. They've made it very clear with Chelsea Green how they view her, and I'm willing to bet that's more or less the same. It's more or less the same. So it's unfortunate for him that he felt that way, but ultimately, at the end of the day, WWE gave him an opportunity, put his name out there on a bigger platform, and now he's in AEW doing what he wants and getting paid good to do it. So, if he's happy there, that's cool, but I can understand why he felt the way he did, but I also understand that for them, if you don't really have it in their eyes, that's it. Unless the fans really get behind you. The fans would have to really get behind you. And even then, that's not a guarantee. We saw what they did with Karrion Kross. So, let's see what other stuff he said. These are just some of the things that I had seen was sent. All right, so he responds to somebody else. Ricochet says, Ricochet says, being called up to the WWE main roster was the worst thing for his career. There was an image that got posted. It was like me and Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa, and Aleister Black, and it's all four of us. And it was like coming to Raw, and it was showing the four of our photos saying that we're coming to Raw. So especially at that time, what should have been the biggest promotion in our industry turned out. I think for specifically Ricochet's story, that time was kind of like being you've seen the Marvel movies. Thanos snaps, and then there was a 5-year blip of people that were just gone. I literally think that's how I put Ricochet wrestling career. That 5 years that was like being blipped away into a different universe. And it just wasn't what I was doing. It wasn't me. Coming to AEW and finding that love is like when Tony Stark finally defeated Thanos and all the people came back. And that's kind of how I feel the Ricochet feel like Ricochet finally came back to what he was doing. And I feel like that 5 years was just kind of blipped away. I already know how this is going to sound, and I already know how people are going to take this. But I think that day that we got called to Raw was the worst thing that happened to Ricochet's wrestling career. I met my wife there. I made friends, made memories. They had a crazy platform to put me, all the positive stuff. But I think specifically for Ricochet's wrestling career, that's where it got blipped because what I was doing and the trajectory that I was on compared to the trajectory that I got for those 5 years and how it completely changed the public's image of Ricochet and who Ricochet was. I really do think that 5 years was like, again, whatever you want to say, for the fame and the celebrity and all that side of it. I'm talking specifically the wrestling side of it. The 5 years really tarnished Ricochet wrestling legacy. And that's how he felt. And he responds, I said what I said. He really does feel that way. And honestly, I can't disagree with that, only because, once again, in NXT, he was presented as someone to look out for in WWE. He got to the main roster, they put him in some super suit, and it was GG's, bro. They really only liked him because of his high-flying ability. They never really cared about anything else. Now, is Ricochet a great talker on the mic? Me personally, no. Not the biggest fan of it. But he can go in the ring. And I think it's a situation where in NXT, they utilized him correctly, had him play to his strengths. Still one of the coolest moments. Unfortunately, it happened with Velveteen Dream, and you know how that played out. Still one of the coolest moments, Velveteen Dream is cutting a promo, and then Ricochet just casually jumps over the top ropes, lands it, walks right up to Velveteen, and just maximum aura. He didn't even have to say too much. I was hyped for that match just off of that cool situation. Like, I'm him, and he got to the main roster. And around that time, you got to take into consideration getting to the main roster was damn near a death sentence because Vince was still in control. And granted, you could say, well, Triple H ended up taking control. He could have did something better with Ricochet. But by that point, the crowd had already viewed Ricochet as someone to not really take seriously. He was only there to enhance other talent. So for him to have that point, hey, I can understand, because who was just clamoring to see Ricochet prime Vince McMahon era after NXT? Who was like, oh yeah, I gotta see Ricochet? Nobody was. Because the only time you was clamoring to see him is if it was in a Money in the Bank ladder match. A high-flying match. That's it. That's it, really. He's also responding, Ricochet says WWE tarnished his legacy. People can't handle the truth. And then there's some other stuff. I believe there's probably more stuff in the mentions, like in his replies and stuff like that, because I think he's been replying to a lot of people. If you go through his timeline, someone said, I think the fact that you're still one of the best high flyers in wrestling history, despite getting slapped on your head for weeks, proves how strong your legacy is. I appreciate that. Yeah, he's been replying to people. People can't handle the truth. Dave Mel said there's a genuine fear of it. Then why do guys keep going there? Just money and a light schedule? Because it was a childhood dream. So they want to see it for themselves. Plus lots of people like fame. And it's the biggest company, so you'll be more famous. He's also responding to other people. Nakamura feels like he doesn't give a fuck anymore. He's fine with getting paid and doing his surfing. Might be true. Someone else says, funny you say that WWE... Oh, let me make myself smaller. Funny you say that. WWE introduced me to you. I've never seen anyone move quite like you, and you're the closest thing to a real-life superhero. Sorry you feel like your legacy was tarnished there for what it was worth. For some fans like me, it just made me want to find out more about you. And when you found out more, did you notice that it wasn't the same? So I have a serious question. And I don't know how rude this will sound, but I don't mean it to be. Why do you think it's been different from the guys you name, like Sami Zayn, Owen Styles, guys who have been given that opportunity and grew their legacy, arguably? I'd argue El Generico has a bigger legacy than Sami Zayn. This one, I respectfully gotta disagree, bro. And I think these are some of the posts that we had seen. I don't know about that. And then obviously people were responding with WrestleMania 39. That's a crazy take. But nevertheless, this is how Ricochet feels. Ricochet feels that WWE hurt his legacy. And I didn't have a problem with Ricochet, but I also knew his ceiling was capped. Once they put him in the superhero suit and had him doing flips and stuff, that was basically his gimmick in there to put people over. They gave him a token IC title because I believe he was about to leave, and I think he talked about that. They gave him a title, and after that, it didn't really matter. The writing was on the wall, so I get it. I completely understand why he would feel that way, but I also understand that WWE, for some people, no matter how talented they are, they give them a ceiling. And it's rare that they can break through that ceiling. It's very rare that it happens. So, but hey, comment down below. Let me know. Do you guys agree with Ricochet's sentiments? Do y'all feel that WWE tarnished his legacy? Also, how do you guys feel about just Ricochet? If you remember in that time period, were you a big fan of his coming from NXT? Did you prefer his NXT work over his main roster work? Y'all let me know just in general, how did y'all feel about Ricochet in WWE? Is he justified in his opinion in feeling that way? But I appreciate all love, support. Road to 200K. Appreciate y'all kicking with me. See y'all next one. Peace.